Alrighty, just had to make sure that the audio was recording because I spent 2 hours on this video this morning and my audio didn't record. Nor did the audio from this video itself. So it was a completely silent resulting file. Useless. And I didn't even check it. I just uploaded it because my workflow has worked so well that I got used to it just working. So that kind of sucked. That's 2 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. But, gave myself a little time, played some Guild Wars, and now I'm feeling up to tackling this again. Now, given that I have gone through the whole video, I know what's coming up, and I know that there is a lot of fat that can be trimmed. I mean, that's always the case with Kent's videos, but there is a lot of content that can be skipped. A lot of where he says a lot, or he speaks a lot, but says absolutely nothing, or just repeats himself ad nauseum. This video is still, at some parts, weird enough to justify me re-recording. So, beyond us having the wall of crazy right here, we have whack an atheist, any scientist, quote-unquote, at Berkeley University who believes and promotes the dumb evolution religion. Gonna cover some things right now. One, yet again, have to say this 1,000 times, it is not by any valid definition a religion. Two, it's factual, so get the fuck over it. Three, you putting scientist in quotes to insult people at an actual university is laughable and childish, as is you calling it Berkeley and all the other stuff you do. You have this nasty habit of just childishly insulting everyone and everything that you don't like. And that wouldn't be so bad. It's juvenile. There's no meat to it. There's no punching power to it. It's extremely juvenile. Versus me calling you a fucking wife abuser, that has some punching power. You know, convicted felon tax fraud, piece of shit. That has weight to it. You saying this is just outright childish, but it's not quite poisoning the well, but it instills this aura of just contemption into everything you say and do that I would think shouldn't exist with someone who's supposed to be a preacher, supposed to be of God, supposed to be the good guy in all this, when this is how you treat those on the opposition. Now I personally will treat individuals as they deserve to be treated from my perspective. And I wouldn't go at any old random person talking to me about religion, let's say, and immediately and consistently go at them like this, or like I do you, unless I'm given a reason. And in your case, I knew well going into doing videos on you, writing pieces on you, or anything, what kind of person you were. And that's only been cemented in the few, mostly passive interactions we've had. So, that being said, this way you approach these things from the get-go betrays the type of person you actually are, which is clearly not a nice person. But let's get through this. I have it on 1.25 speed, and I will jump ahead at points. So this isn't going to be a complete thorough, full video watch, but it's going to be enough, because anything we skip is irrelevant. I mean, the whole thing is irrelevant, but, for the purposes of making content for you to watch. And if you are watching this and you enjoy it, please understand that this is my second time going through this nightmare. I'm already tired of hearing this man's voice, and I haven't played an instant of the video here because I've watched all of it previously. If you like it, definitely let me know. Definitely give it a like. If you have the means to support the channel in some financial way, there's options below. Either way, I appreciate you being here. Let's get to it.
Well, good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is October the 30th, 2024. We made it. Whew. Didn't think we would live that long. Tonight, we'll be whacking atheist, any of the scientists, scientists loosely, at Berkeley University who believe in evolution. Any scientist. You're all welcome, and you promote that dumb religion. He's going to whack for you tonight. Berkeley University teaches all kinds of evolution to their staff. To their students. Integrative biology, right, biology. There's some of the staff members there. So if this applies to you, prepare to get whacked. There's atheist logic. The mechanical hand had to have a designer, no question. But the real hand did not have a designer.
So see, this one is a funny one because, okay, you have an artificial hand, something designed to mimic the natural one. Why would you call it an artificial hand? Because it isn't natural. But see, in your view of existence, and this is a really strange thing that I don't think you'd ever be able to work your way out of, or you'd try to twist it around on me, which isn't going to work either. But from your perspective, everything is, technically speaking, artificial. There is no such thing as natural, because everything is created explicitly, rather than comes about through naturalistic processes. Those processes don't exist as far as your worldview goes, because everything is an artificial construct. Nothing is intrinsically natural. Ergo, the entire idea of distinguishing between artificial and natural here becomes pointless, which negates the entire idea of calling something designed, because we establish design by contrast with the natural world. If you effectively eliminate the concept of the natural world, you eliminate the concept of anything being designed. So your logic just kind of completely fucking breaks down. And I find that really funny. Because, I'll get into philosophy. I'm not one to dwell on philosophy to a point where everything hinges on it and just obsess over that shit and eventually get into solipsism arguments or whatever. But this is one of those bits of logic chain where it's like, hang on, in the way we define things and perceive the world and distinguish things, by eliminating effectively the natural world, you eliminate the ability for artificial things to be distinguished from natural, because everything is artificial to you. Thus, it becomes irrelevant, and you'll be like, oh yeah, well that shows you that the hand is designed, and it's like, well no. Because you're just asserting that all these things that are natural are not natural, when we know and go through life with the implication that they are natural. The wood that makes up that desk, as opposed to the artificial, the combined elements that make up that computer, the combined things we've created to make it up. It gets into some complex thought, but it suffices to say, I heard it's the watchmaker argument. I've heard it described basically as, yeah, you find a watch, but you're on a beach of watches next to an ocean of watches with a sky of watches. Everything's watches. So how you distinguish it? It's an interesting thought. Don't know if anyone's brought it up to you, but you can just hand wave it away if they did. Let's continue.
Guys are stupid beyond words, okay? Anyway, this is
Yeah, and you're a wife-abusing, tax fraud piece of shit. Get fucked, Kent.
Old-fashioned, we're at Genesis Baptist Church here, old-fashioned, independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist Church in Lenox, Alabama. I met the last couple days.
Okay, now this is fucking weird. He goes through the very beginning of his stuff, and then he switches gears into just whatever this random shit is. This is just out of the blue. And it's fucking weird.
Days ago, Sheriff Grady Judd at Landmark Baptist Church. My wife and I and daughter were down there. And Grady Judd, here's his coffee cup, a great guy, loves the Lord. Here's the story. Why 68 times? Well, here's why. As the police dog closed on the suspect's hiding place, Freeland shot.
What does this have to do with Berkley University, Kent? What, in the name of all that you think of as holy, in any capacity, by any iota of anything, does this have to do with fucking Berkley University? You just do this, and this is common with preachers. They just tell random-ass stories that go nowhere. Sometimes they try to correlate it to whatever they're talking about, but Kent just tells random-ass fucking stories. If you want story time, just make up a story time hour. Tell stories about this random shit, that random shit. There's a guy shooting somebody 68 times because he loves Jesus, or whatever the fuck this is. But you put it in your sermon. And even if I cared for what you had to say, I'd tune out with this. I'd be like, look, you're not getting to the point. Move on. My time's more valuable than that. But let's let him tell the stupid story. Watch for the moment he starts laughing.
Shot the dog, Freeland's the bad guy, in the chest from close range at an upward angle, killing it. He then fired on by Deputy Williams, wounding him in the right wrist, left bicep, left rear thigh, left right leg, buttock, and up.
I want to point out one that's Kent's stream that fucked up, not mine as usual. As usual, it's Kent's stream fucking up. Always seems to do this at points when he, is talking about something that's completely ridiculous. It's almost as if there was a god, he's trying to tell him something. Secondly, there's no context provided for this story, so we have to figure it all out as it goes along. It's like, you took time to make these slides and put them in this. I'm wrapping my head around it, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
Her right arm. One of the shots penetrated the officer's spine. Freeland then approached the immobilized man and delivered 2 shots to the head at point-blank range, finishing him off. Deputy Spears heard the shots from a nearby ridge, moved toward the sounds of the gunfire, was shot at by Freeland. The 2 exchanged fire. The deputy was wounded in the leg. He radioed for help and made his way out of the woods. Every available unit and canine team descended on the area. Freeland briefly appeared at the perimeter of the woods to fire at the officers, but then took cover again. He dug in under another fallen oak and hid there. Later that afternoon, the body of 39-year-old Deputy Williams, a father of 3, was found and carried from the wooded area. Officers noted that the slain man's gun and ammo were missing. Freeland remained under the oak tree overnight, where a 10-member SWAT team found him the next morning. When they saw Freeland raise his right hand clutching a gun, one they would later learn belonged to the dead deputy, 9 of the 10 officers fired, hitting him with...
He starts laughing there. Okay, Kent, if you're gonna tell a story in a narrative fashion, you can't break character like that. But of course, you would start laughing at the idea of, 9 police officers firing on a guy. And yeah, okay, this guy's a piece of shit. Whatever. What the fuck does any of this have to do with Berkeley University? Nothing. But you just have to tell this story for some fucking reason, because you thought his coffee cup was cool. And you like a story of somebody killing somebody, because that shit gets you off, I guess. That and animal videos, but, we won't go about that. That's just allegations. Hovind.
68 of the 110 shots. Freeland was dead at the scene. So when they asked Sheriff, why'd you shoot him 68 times? He said, because we ran out of bullets. That's my kind of guy. I like that. Look,
Yeah, you would love somebody who'd shoot somebody 68 times. Or, be involved with somebody. Whatever. What the fuck does this have to do with anything? Seriously. But, you laugh about it.
When Trump gets elected, okay, please, everybody call him and tell him.
And then he does this shit where he's like, when Trump gets elected. You gonna acknowledge if/when he loses that you were wrong? And are you going to accept the results of the election? Highly doubt it, Kent. Highly doubt it. You're gonna be like the rest of the maggots crying foul play.
Him to call me. I can scale back the American prison system in America by 95% in one day. Ban all lawmakers, law enforcement, all judges, and all lawyers from owning stock in the prison system. Almost all of them own stock. It's a money-making racket. Who delivers the clothes, the food for the prisons? Who builds the prisons? There's a whole system called prison industries.
Religion is a pretty big money-making racket. Just saying. And I'm no fan of the American prison system by a long shot. Our judicial system is completely fucked. But, yeah, Kent, you might want to look in a mirror.
Book, The Kennel, that I wrote about this topic while I was in prison. We can shut down the whole prison system. Give the guys the option, the criminal the option. Do you want a fine? If you steal my sheep, you pay back 4 sheep. Follow the Bible. Fine them, beat them, or kill them. I asked 1,000 guys when I wrote my book. I did a survey. They moved me 32 times everywhere.
I wonder why they moved you 32 times, Kent. Probably because you're the second most obnoxious person I personally have ever interacted with in my entire life. There's one person more obnoxious than you. Think about that.
When I interview a bunch of guys, if you committed a crime and you're guilty, no question, you're guilty. And the judge says, I'll give you an option. Do you want 20 lashes? Lay down right here, right now, and George will give them to you? Or do you want 5 years in prison? 999 of them said, I take the 20 lashes. I said, okay.
I'll take things that never happen, but, okay, Kent, you want to do biblical law, okay, for beating Cindy like you did, for throwing her to the ground, body slamming her. Do you want, 20 lashes? Do you want 10 years in jail? Do you want, something else to happen? I mean, you were found guilty of that. Let's go through God. Oh, wait, I forgot. In the Bible, women don't have any rights. So, you're perfectly fine, because, pieces of shit like you always want biblical law because it was written by other pieces of shit like you.
Okay, which is a better deterrent to not do it again? The 20 lashes. Which is better for your family? The 20 lashes. I get to go home. I'm sore for a week, but I'm home. Which is better for society?
Like Kent cares about criminals' families. It's fucking hilarious. Like, you think about this for a second, he's trying to make it seem like he's got the moral high ground. Oh, what a fucking jerk off this guy is.
20 lashes. They don't have to pay my grocery bill the next 5 years. Ban all those people from owning stock in the prison system. President Trump, call me. I'll become your advisor on that topic.
Former President Carrot. And you couldn't advise your way out of a wet paper bag, you piece of shit. God, I hate you, Kent.
Also, when he gets elected, tell him to call me. I can solve lots of...
See, when he gets elected. Yeah, it's a big if there, buddy. Why do they always talk like this? Why do people so obsessed with... in this right-wing ideology always speak with such certainty about how different things are going to go? Oh, right, because they think they're right, and again, they can use it to help promote the idea that it was a conspiracy against them. Here's where he promotes lies in the textbook, because of course he does.
...a crime in America and greatly improve our education system.
You mean ruin education?
Get the lies out of the books and the classroom and teach real science. Get my book series, Help, I'm being taught evolution in my biology class. Help, I'm being taught evolution in the public school. Help, I'm being taught evolution in my earth science class. We got one for biology. My book.
Well, if you're being taught evolution in your earth science class, that actually is a problem, because earth sciences, geology and the like, aren't evolution. However, the observations made by them and how we see the nature of the world from a geological standpoint helps to verify predictions made by evolution and other evidence of evolution. You know, it's a multi-nested, multifaceted thing. It's what's that word that they don't understand, that people like Kent don't ever understand? Oh yeah, it's very nuanced. That's the key word here that they just don't get, is nuance. And simultaneously what actual complexity is. But let's keep going.
Are you being brainwashed by your science book? We've got a whole lot of books on our website, Dr.
Oh, and that reminds me, when I was originally watching this, I had the idea I should write a book, Help, I'm Being Taught Religion, and publish that. And you know, I'm seriously putting a pin in that to come back to later. Might be fun.
DrDino.com. You ought to get...
Maybe I should get AJ to help me with that. I need to ask him about it. He could do the art. Hey, we're on to something here. We'll go back and do some more research on that. Film at 11.
Get some and give to anybody you know in a public school. Get a set of them for Christmas. Okay, it'll really help strengthen their faith. I get calls every day. Somebody says, "Man, I watched your video and you strengthened my faith. The Bible is true. Evolution is stupid." Yeah.
Take even more things that never happened. You don't get calls every fucking day. Maybe you do, but not from people having their... Apologize, Kent is very boring. Not from people having their faith restored by your garbage-ass videos. Their faith is restored by that, then they... I pity them. That, or they're indoctrinated and brainwashed into, the cult beliefs by their parents and their little children who haven't had the opportunity to learn any better, because the entire thing with religious upbringings is to keep them as isolated as possible so they don't understand the world at all.
Yeah, it's real stupid. And you folks at Berkley going to get whacked tonight. Okay, construction officially began a couple days ago on our 172-foot...
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. He rambles on about his Noah's Ark for a while. We'll just let him ramble.
Long Noah's Ark. That's 1/3 the length of the real ark, 1/3 the width, and 1/3 the height. We looked all over Lenox, and nobody has a Noah's Ark, so we decided to build one. There's where it's going to go, out there right at the edge of the sand area where it meets the trees. We have enough money to get about 1/3, to get part of it started. We're going to stop when we run out of money. Okay? If you want to help, send some money. We'll build a little more.
I'd rather not. I'd rather spend my money on hookers and blow.
Scores of ideas of what the ark looked like. Everybody thinks theirs is right, of course.
There's scores of religions out there. Everyone thinks theirs rights, of course. Like you, Hovind. You think you're right. I should bring you some thoughts that so many people believe different things, but of course you happen to be right. And it's funny that a person's God always seems to carry the same general beliefs on right and wrong that the individual does. No one's ever in conflict with their deity about what, their opinions on good and bad and all that jazz. It's really funny how that works. It's almost as if God's made up by people.
This is like one design. There's all kinds of different designs of Noah's Ark, okay? Some think it was boat-shaped, some think it was barge-shaped. Well, when we're done, they're going to know what it looked like. Right, Titus? Because we're going to do it right, okay? Let's see, it's going to go right in there by one of our lakes. We have 17 lakes and ponds on the property for fishing and swimming. Come on down. There'll be Noah's Ark right there. Okay. So during construction,
No one wants to come fish in your stupid lakes, and swimming in your lakes might well result in death. So, no.
Noah will be giving interviews to the various news media, who typically scoff at the idea of a flood.
Oh god, yeah, and this is the cringe is an overused word on the internet, but my god, this is the cringiest joke Kent has ever done. Ever. That I've seen, at least.
We already have some of them lined up to come give interviews to. Stu Pittman from CNN, that criticized Noah's News, will be first. ABC, always been critical, is sending their top reporter, normally wrong. And then NBC, nothing but critical, has flown in Superficial from her rally to support Hamas to mock our progress. Mo Ron, Captain Clueless, Lord Lamebrain, Make It Up, Ben Deceived, Evolution, and April Fool are all scheduled to come mock the progress. We already have a host of them lined up. Yeah, come stay tuned, folks.
God, Kent, that is the most stupid shit you have ever come up with to even remotely resemble a joke.
They've already sent me a list of tough questions to answer. Why are you doing this? Did you get a building permit? How are you going to drag this boat to the water?
Love how he mocks the, did you get a building permit? It's like, yeah, those are kind of important. Set of standards for this stuff. Building permits, kind of a good thing. They're annoying, but in the long run, they are debatably a good thing. Instead of people just doing construction all willy-nilly and potentially endangering others. Now, on your 110 or however much it is acre, gravel pit, it's not a problem. But it's the principle of stuff. And also, if people are going to be near this, or dare say, potentially going inside to any degree, it should at least be built to some kind of standard. But that's neither here nor there. It's just the way you mock any kind of other authority, any kind of municipal authority, for example. Yet you use their roads. I would say you call their police and fire department when you have issues, but you don't. You don't call the fire department. You try to put that shit out yourself. To hilarious results. But let's continue.
Don't you know it never rained? Yeah. How will you fit those dinosaurs on the ark? Come help. If you got some carpentry skills and you're bored sitting around, what do I do? Come down and help us build. This is going to take a while. Come on down. Okay, Noah's Ark, starting construction. Here we go. Straight north of Pensacola in Lenox, Alabama, is our dinosaur adventureland. Okay, tonight, the 30th. That only took, 6 minutes, okay.
Yeah, Kent, it shouldn't take 6 fucking minutes to get to the point. You should be a lot quicker than that. My meandering ass intros are shorter than that. Most of the time.
The evolution being taught at Berkeley University in California. Evolution, not Berkeley. Lines of evidence, the science of evolution. Ooh. At the heart of evolutionary theory are the basic ideas that life has changed over time. I would agree with that. However, I would add the caveat, it's changed over time within limits.
Yes, Kent, limits that are always physical limits. Creatures growing too large to support their own body weight, to be able to breathe, to be able to consume enough food to continue living. It's never genetic limits. It's never a hard stop on something. Any example you bring up is always, it's as big as Texas. Nothing in genetics actually technically precludes that. It's not going to happen because lots of land animals don't want to grow that big. The biggest thing you get on land is, I think, elephants. Yeah, I don't think there's anything bigger on land. I know I sound silly on that, but man, I am tired from doing this previously. Like, I'm 99.9% sure it's elephants, the largest land animal. There can't be anything else. Point is, you can't get much bigger than that without some special adaptations, like dinosaurs having the hollow bones, a lot of them did, and the like, the bigger ones. Or so is my understanding. In whatever case, you talk about outrageous ideas that aren't even practical anyway, that serve no validity to be something to ponder. A dog as big as Texas? What would it matter? But a much larger dog, or a much larger dog-like creature, maybe in the 500-pound range or higher, kind of thicker fur, a little bit better at hanging around streams and such, maybe, slapping fish out of water to eat, bears, from the same ancestors as dogs, you get something interesting. That's kind of what happens if you upscale a dog. To a degree, upscale the predecessor to dogs. It's a funny thought. It's not as funny as your, Magic Sky Daddy story. That's just pathetic. But I digress. My point is, it's always physical limits rather than genetic limits. You can't name a genetic limit because, technically speaking, they don't realistically exist. You could genetically have enough genetic aggregation of traits, and certain things be expressed enough that you would get, some pretty out there creatures. But again, the viability of them in the wild against natural selection pressures would be the issue.
They don't like that at all. They don't like the limits part at all. Boy, they hate that, okay? And that different species share common ancestors. Okay, I would agree. All 37 species of foxes probably had a common ancestor called a fox.
Yes, and you call it a fox and act like that makes a point, despite the fact that you yourself repeatedly claim that it doesn't matter what, quote, we call the animals, unquote, thus meaning that you stressing that it's a fox and the ancestor was called a fox, according to you, is irrelevant. So why do you say it? Oh, right. You just run a script until you have a new set of keywords to react to.
All 49 species of tortoises probably had a common ancestor called a tortoise. All 1,000 varieties of apples probably had a common ancestor called an apple.
Apple tree, Kent. Why you cannot understand that fruits are not organisms. They're reproductive bodies. Or something to that effect. They're not an organism in and of themselves.
Here's from Berkley. Evolution, simply put, is descent with modification. That sounds great. Notice it's descent. You can't go back and check who your great-great-great-great-grandparents were, or
Except you totally can with genetic testing.
of any animal, okay? The definition encompasses small-scale evolution, changes in gene, or more precisely and technically, allele frequency, in a population from one generation to the next. I would agree, that happens. And large-scale evolution, the descent of different species from a common ancestor over many generations. Now, that one is not part of science. You cannot possibly prove such a thing, okay?
Except we have, time and time again, you just cry, kicking and screaming, "Oh, it's not true, it's impossible." Well, you're wrong there, Kent.
Macroevolution. For more detailed explanation, see our resource on evolution. Okay. A group of individuals that actually or potentially interbreed in nature. I would agree with that. Bible says they will bring forth after their kind. Apparently, kind has to do with bringing forth. Okay, the cows are not the least bit interested in the goats or the ducks. They know they look for another cow. And keep in mind, cows are pretty stupid, and they don't even know what they look like, but they know what to look for in a mate. Okay. In this sense, a species is.
Yeah, tell that to that duck of yours previously that was trying to get on with the turkey or whatever that story was. It was a few wacka Hovinds back. It's fucking weird, man.
The largest gene pool possible under natural conditions. More detailed explanation, read our stuff. Overwhelming evidence supports these facts. This is all from the Berkley website. Scientists continue to argue about details of evolution, but the question of whether or not different species are related through a long shared history was answered in the affirmative 2 centuries ago. This is baloney. All you professors, I'll debate all of you same time. Bring it on. My channel, your channel. I'll fly to Berkley and debate all of you.
Debate me, bro, Hovind. And I would love to see you go to Berkley and get your ass handed to you by anyone there. Some 20-year-old just starting out would tear you apart. And that would be beautiful to see. The absolute evisceration of this, for lack of a better phrasing, abjectly retarded, rambling mess of a script you have. Oh, that'd be glorious.
Me against the whole student body, everybody. If I get half the time, there's no cursing or swearing, one topic at a time.
Yeah, always those same pathetic ass criteria. Now, Kent, okay, well, you meet, other people's criteria? At this stage, I just would have the criteria that you actually talk like you respect people, your interoculars, your debate opponent, and others you may bring up. You don't talk shit about AJ, Aaron Ra, Peterson, Professor Dave, Sideman Dan, You don't do your little childish insults. You don't say shit about, if we were debating about me, unprompted. That you actually behave like a civil adult rather than a fucking child. But I don't think you can do that. I could debate you without using profanity. I can weave a tapestry in the mind. Well, it's funny I say that and my brain just goes on what I was going to say, but I could, without using words you would consider obscene, paint a very vivid picture. I don't think you can contest someone without resorting to childish name-calling in the way you do. Because it's been especially incessant during this. Especially with that god-awful joke you did earlier.
Go first. You go first. Present the best topic of you know of for support for evolution. I get equal time, no interrupting. Fair enough? All of you, same time. 50
No interrupting. I can't handle when people talk over me and correct my bullshit, Hovind.
against 1. What do you think, Nick? Would that be more fair for them? Yeah, okay. The history of living things is documented through multiple lines of evidence. Oh, really? That converge to tell the story of life through time. In this section, we will explore the lines of evidence that are used to reconstruct this story. Let me translate that. To make up this story. Okay.
Oh yeah, we got the Bible as the evidence for God. Let me translate that. To make up this story of God. See how easy it reverses around? The difference is, all you have is some old book. Meanwhile, those of us living in reality have all of the shit you hand wave away. Yeah, not true. Okay. Yeah. Same science that kept you alive after that snake bite is the science that you reject here. But, that's okay. You're right. You have a right to be a dumbass.
Fossil evidence. First of all, guys, no fossil counts as evidence for evolution. I've said it many times. All you could prove is it died. You can't prove
Doesn't matter how many times you say it. Doesn't make it right.
it had any kids that were different than itself. No animal today has kids that would be considered a new kind.
That's because evolution is about populations and isolated populations over time and not individuals. You've had this explained to you numerous times. Ergo, in one of the relatively recent open mics that you've had, when AJ brought this up and you ducked and dodged around whether you were saying it was an individual or not, you are most certainly saying that an individual X gives birth to an individual Y that is explicitly different and would be classed as a new species. That's what you're saying. That is what you're saying here, and you're fucking wrong. That is a mischaracterization of evolution. It's an incorrect statement. No one remotely understanding the concept of evolution would say that. It is a shitty straw man, and you're a fucking liar. Gotta drink my water.
Distribution in time and space. That's code word for the geologic column, which does not exist anywhere. If that top layer is younger, where's it coming from?
And this is explained to you ad nauseum, Kent, how layers are defined, what the origin of the layers are, etc., and that the statement you're about to make about everything being the same age breaks apart in the same way that you age, let's say, your child, your son, Kent Andrew, Eric, Marlissa, your daughter. What are their ages? Are they the same age as you? Are they the same age as the universe? Or is their age determined based off of a critical event? It's the exact same thing, but you just ignore it. It's what you do. When explicitly corrected on something, you just ignore it completely. You're a dishonest piece of shit.
Outer space? All the layers of the Earth are the same age. There is no geologic column. All those layers are probably formed in 1 year during Noah's flood with tidal pumping up and down. Watch my video series number 6 for
No, I won't.
more on that. Creation.
And he seems to love saying tidal pumping. Tidal pumping, layers formed horizontal, Hovind.
Seminar. Get the whole thing for $50. Get some of these for Christmas for your friends or enemies. Any public school teachers, if your kids go, or the public school science teacher in your area, get a set of my tapes, give it to them for Christmas, and say, teacher, I'll give you $50 if you'll watch it. I'll give you 100.
Pro tip, Kent, no one in grade school talks like that. No one would say teacher in that kind of context. That archaic way of talking sounds so ridiculous. No one does that. It bugs the hell out of me when he says that. He loses prepositions in there. Or is it prepositions? I don't even know. Fuck hell. Now I need to go through a whole grammar primer again just to refresh myself with the parts of speech. But, the teacher. go and ask, they would refer to the teacher by name, generally Miss whomever, Mr. whomever. Also, speaking of science teachers, shout out to my 5th grade science teacher, Miss Job. She was fucking awesome. Not only worked well with me and my differently abled self, we will say, but also tried to teach me more advanced subjects for a 5th grader. In my own time, or in our own particular time, like after class or before class, or if there was a recess and I didn't feel like going outside, because sometimes I just wanted to draw. I didn't want to go outside. Yeah, shout out to her. I hope she is doing well. If she's still around, that's, nearly 30 years ago, so she could be gone now, and that makes me sad. It'd be nice to reconnect, but, we'll see what the universe has in store.
1,000. They'll watch it for 1,000 over Christmas, yeah, okay. Homologies. Homologies. You think that's evidence for evolution? Homo means same, okay. Homology, look at this. Evolution. We know we have evidence for evolution from homologous structure. This is one they always use. Like the forelimbs of birds, dolphins, and humans are similar.
Okay, the is a definite article. Just to clarify, that I had to look that up and double check. I completely forgot about articles in grammar, but, as much as I like language, I don't spend all day, every day thinking about it, unlike Kent and how many, random slides he's going to make and not show in his presentation, because probably won't get to it, but at the end he does this thing where he rushes through 20 slides. And it's really funny. You went through the effort to prepare all those. You didn't count how long you'd be rambling for. You didn't pause for time. I've made presentations before, a couple of them, literally 2 or 3, and I timed it all perfectly. Maybe a little under, but that's good. So the fact he's been doing this for 30 years and can't get it right is fucking hilarious.
Okay. Well, let's talk about homologous structures here. This is line number 22 of my video number 4, lies in the textbooks.
Yeah, lies in the textbooks that R and Ra completely dismantled fully. There is nothing about lies in the textbook that hasn't been addressed by him alone, let alone 1,000 other people. It's a load of shit. It's one of the pinnacles of the loads of shit.
Okay, thought I had one out here. Single one. You can buy them singly, or it comes in the series, okay? Homologous structure is an example of an organ or bone that appears in different animals, underlying anatomical commonalities. Oh, they look like they're the common, yeah, okay. Demonstrating descent from a common ancestor. It doesn't demonstrate any such thing. Whoever wrote this is lying or stupid, okay? If there are similarities in the structure, like the frog leg and the horse leg and the porpoise flipper and the bat wing and the human arm, that's not proof of a common ancestor. Stop and think for just a minute. Maybe the same guy designed them.
So here's the thing, Kent. You talk about it being designed, that it's the same guy designing them. But simplicity and elegance are hallmarks of design. This, the way life is on the planet, looks like somebody just taking whatever they had previously made and just tweaking it constantly and coming up with something slightly different and slightly different. And eventually he's got something pretty wild out there. Just adding on or changing things here and there until he gets some result it likes from your perspective. You that don't seem to acknowledge that, all these older species that aren't represented now, but are represented in the, what you don't say doesn't exist, the fossil record, that are nice intermediates between stuff. You act like they don't exist. Point is, if there was some magical deity creating things, you'd expect things to not be so similar. You'd expect things to be different. For there to be something special out there. Like, let's say, a griffin. A 4-legged animal that has wings. Everything that's got wings, like proper wings, that's the forearms modified. Flippers and such. Unlike marine mammals. They don't add new fins or just grow something else. No, it's always something modified. When it doesn't have to be. And it's debatably not the simplest thing, which is irrelevant because if something's a special creation, it can just be made however something would want it. But you think you've got such a gotcha here, and you don't.
And it's a design that works pretty good. Mm-hmm. In other words, when very different animals have bones that appear very similar in form or function, and seem to be related. No, they seem to be designed, okay? Homology in the following photos of plants are leaves that are quite different from the normal leaves we envision. The pitcher plant, the flytrap, etc., okay?
Now, something I hate right here is that he didn't actually bother getting into it, but I love cacti, and I think it's so cool how the spines on them are modified branches and modified leaves. That the white bits, I forget their name, that the spines actually will come out of, are modified branches, and that the thorns themselves, the spines themselves, are technically modified leaves. So awesome. And a pretty interesting evidence of what kinds of changes you can have when, on an evolutionary sense, push comes to shove for survival. It's fascinating.
Evolutionary theory predicts, it did not predict, they made it up 200 years ago after watching the facts, okay, that related organisms will share similarities that are derived from common ancestors. Similar characteristics due to characteristics are known as homologies, due to relatedness, I'm sorry. That is pure propaganda. Homologies can be revealed by comparing the anatomies of different living things, looking at cellular similarities and differences, studying embryological development. That one, they're just plain lying about that one. Okay. Vestigial structures. Look, guys, there are no vestigial structures. But if there were, that's the opposite of what you need. That's losing something.
And Hovind with the straw man that evolution is about gaining, not losing, when it is simply about morphological change through isolated groups over many generations. He just loves to conflate this. And, of course, ignore what vestigial actually means. But, this is Kent Hovind we're talking about. He doesn't know what anything means.
You need examples of gaining something. How could vestigial structures help your evolution religion? Evidence of homology.
Got a crocoduck hanging out. Shout out to King Crocoduck. If you haven't watched any of his content, King Crocoduck is an incredibly busy person, so he doesn't do much in the YouTube front. Occasionally popping out a video like once a year. He's otherwise extremely busy doing, actual science. He and Kent did a not one, not two, but 3-part debate on cosmology that was fucking incredible. So if you haven't seen that, it's many years old, but go check it out. It's great stuff.
What observable evidence exists to support the idea that life on Earth has evolved its diversity through a long process of descent with modification? One of the most powerful forms of evidence is homology, from Miami University. Homologous structures. Here we have it: the alligator, the penguin, the bat, and the human. Look at that. We all have a humerus. Wow, that's funny. Okay, we have a radius and all that. Look at that. Bird's wing, dolphin flipper, dolphin's liver, and dog's leg are all adapted. No, they were designed to do what they do. But this is taught in all.
If they were designed, Kent, they would be special. They would be unique. They wouldn't be the way they are. It's not designed. It clearly isn't. It's funny that you refuse to see it that way and that your gullible sheep can't understand that simplicity is the hallmark of design, not abject complexity and tedious reuse of stuff like this. It's crazy.
All the biology textbooks I'm familiar with, they all show this as one of the evidences for evolution. Homologous structures. Look at that. The flipper of the dolphin, the wing of the bat. Wow, look at that. The human arm and the whale flipper all have similarities. Homology. For example, the 4 limbs of vertebrates are all homologous structures with different appearance and functions that all derive from the same body part of a common ancestor. That is baloney. Whoever wrote that, you're lying or stupid. Okay, I challenge you to a debate. Simple enough. I get fired up, brother, when I'm out there
Debate me, brother. Debate me.
hauling lumber and doing construction. I work hard, sweat all day, go take a shower. I'm ready to rumble now, okay? Then I'm going to crash and go to bed, okay? Thinking critically? Ooh.
Also, Kent, you don't do shit. Most you do is give your stupid tours. You ain't out doing any damn work.
A seal's flipper and a human arm have very different functions. What evidence might help to show that both structures evolved from the forelimb of a common ancestor? What's a student in a class reading this book supposed to do?
Answer it honestly.
They think, wow, the teacher knows his stuff. He went to college. Wow, he knows. Look, it's in the book. Have President Trump call me to be the Department of Education secretary, and I'll fix this problem, okay? No more
There he goes with that ego again.
lies in the textbooks. If you're going to show something like this, you should say, kids, there are several options for why they're similar. Maybe they have a common ancestor. Maybe they have a common designer. Why isn't that a reasonable option? Because you want only your religion taught. I understand, okay? Comparative anatomy provides further evidence of evolution.
It's not a religion.
Commonalities suggest they're all related. They probably had a common ancestor. This is just taught all through the biology, and it's not true. It's not evidence of a common common ancestor. It's evidence of a common design.
There it is. That's what I was hunting for. My apologies. That right there.
It's not true. It's not evidence of a common designer.
Save that soundbite, people.
I mean, all through the biology. And
One
it's
more
not
time.
True. It's not evidence of a common designer. I mean, common ancestor. It's evidence of a common designer. Pontiac lug nuts will fit on a Chevy. Try it.
Artificial product, not natural. Comment irrelevant.
They will. That proves they both evolved from some skateboard. Yeah. All these items are round. Look at that. They must be related. They're all round. Huh?
Okay, so this is one of the points where Kent, he goes on for like 4 solid minutes with this. Just this ridiculous mockery of the way classification systems work. With the implication in this little grant money comment here that, what am I trying to say? That he, sorry, the words are eluding me for a moment. Oh, right. That it's a massive financial conspiracy. That it's explicitly to get money. That's what he's implying here. He won't say it outright. Maybe he does towards the tail end, I don't know. But that's the implication.
Want to do some more research. You need a government grant, about $12 million. Send it to Pearl Lane, 488 Pearl Lane, Repton, Alabama. Okay? Look at all these animals are fast. Whoa. They must be related because they all go fast. Yep. Man, the cheetah,
Gotta go fast.
the albatross, look at that, the ostrich, the swordfish, hummingbird, they're fast. I need another.
And he goes on like this. I'm going to hold down the space bar for double speed. He just keeps going like this.
Grant. I figured about 16 million. I can finish my research. Okay. All these animals lay eggs. That's proof they're related. Look at that. The crocodile, the centipede, the turtle, they all lay eggs. That's going to take about 20 million to finish that. Okay. Okay. All these animals live a long time. They got to be related. Tortoise.
See what I mean? Still going.
177 years. Whew. Wow. Look at that. The bowhead whale, 60 to 70 years. Antarctic sponge, 1,500 years. Man, I need about 24 million to finish the research. I got to go to Antarctica. Okay. It costs a lot of money. Just send the money. Just don't ask questions. Okay. All these animals are green. Wow. Grasshopper, moray eel, Luna moth, red-eyed tree frog, even the great green macaw. They're all green, so they got to be related. We need a government grant, about 30 million. Send the money. All these animals burrow in the ground. They got to be related. Must be. That'll cost a lot of money because you got to dig them out, and they don't like being dug out. So that's 36 million. All these animals live with no eyes. They have to be related. I'm gonna do more research. We need a government grant, 40 million. All these animals are blue. They got to be related too. Who would think? The fish and the macaw and the blue starfish. That took a lot of mutations. That's going to need a lot of $40 million, okay? All these animals eat snakes. Even a snake eating snakes. Wow, king snake, okay? They got to be related. That's proof, okay? I'll publish my research when I'm done in about 10 years, okay? Living on the beach. All these animals are yellow. They got to be related. That'll take about 48 million. Look at this. All these animals have claws. The beaver, the coyote, the badger, the liger, the cougar, the sloth, the turtle. They've all got claws. That's proof they're related. All these animals are pink. Who would have thunk it? Wow. Flamingo and what's that weird one at the bottom?
And he doesn't know what an axolotl is. Of course he doesn't. Heard you like mudkips, Kent.
Mole rat. Who would have thought? Yep, that's proof. And I got to do more research. So all these animals have scales. Butterflies and lizards. Wow. There's mammals with scales. Yeah. All these animals have big eyes. They have to be related. That'll cost about 200 million because it's really difficult to study the eyes. You got to have special microscopes and all that. So, okay. All these animals live in the forest. Oh, they got to be related. All these animals are white. That'll cost a lot of money because you can't see them in the snow. I'm going to have to buy special glasses, okay? All these animals are stupid. They must be related. I've already done the research. No government grant needed. Evolution, that's stupid, okay? At the top of
Ha ha, Kent made a funny. He seriously spent like 5 minutes on that shit. It's insane.
the stupid pile are the people who think they came from a rock and are related to strawberries and flowers and worms. That's the top of the stupid pile, okay? The fool said in his heart, there's no God, and you're a fool.
Blah, blah, blah. More biblical bullshit. He has to put this slide in everything. It's so convenient that your magic book of bullshit has a clause in it that says that people don't believe the magic book of bullshit are stupid. Convenient.
If you don't believe God made all this world, okay? Then the one that bothers me the most is developmental biology.
Okay, no joke. I think we're actually done here because I'm not kidding. He spends the rest of the video prattling on about Haeckel's drawings. He just goes on and on and on and on about Haeckel. And he gets a little offended at the whole trial thing where he constantly stresses that there was a trial when it's been shown that there's no evidence thereof. And he's like, it was a trial in the college. And it's like, well, that would still be documented. Then what's funny is he later goes on and says explicitly, after having already said it both times, like, there was a trial, we found, it's like, if you're saying that, then prove it. Put up or shut up, Kent. Oh, right. Oh, excuse me. Oh, right. You can't, because there is no evidence, and you just make this shit up. And it wouldn't even matter on the entire subject of the pharyngeal arches and the embryo, the appearances of the embryos, because we have the microphotographs that show the incredible similarities. That again, if everything was specially created, the embryos wouldn't end up needing to be identical. They could be however they should and could be. They could look like just perfectly miniature versions of the actual creature. Because for some reason, creationists love to give this deity infinite power yet no actual creativity. It can't just do things. It always like, well, that's just a way that works. It's like, but why? This entity can do whatever it wants. So, like I said, it just goes on and on like this. I'll just jump ahead a few spots and you'll see him just going on and on like he does.
Folks, get my book, Lies in the Textbooks. Are you being brainwashed by your science book? Yes, you are, if you go to public school, okay? Haeckel's fraud continued to prove that the only difference between man and ape is that man can speak. He fraudulently created a missing link. Pithecanthropus observed material is so incomplete or insufficient. I have to fill in and reconstruct the missing links by hypothesis and comparative synthesis. Fancy words mean...
Oh, it's nice that I got right here because they're talking about his confession. University of Jena. Notice it says University of Jena trial. So, whatever internal thing may have happened, woohoo. Excuse me. The point is that Haeckel had to meet publishing deadlines and had to rush a few of the drawings, or so the story goes, for the first edition, but that later editions used the completed drawing assortment. And again, it's irrelevant because we have microphotographs. But saying this right here, where he'll say that he'll say he had to lie. Let me let it play here. Yeah, to lie under same charge. I strongly believe that that's actually a flawed translation from German. That the original German word may have had a less sinister connotation, but in translation, lie was what was chosen. Can't be sure of that. I'm just hazarding a guess. And German and English have quite a few, good similarities. There's a lot of German influence in English, but that doesn't mean that all the vocabulary will translate cleanly. So,
Just lie under the same charge. Everybody else lies. Why can't Haeckel lie? That was his defense. He said, this is one of the worst cases of scientific fraud. It's shocking to find that somebody one thought was a great...
And he goes on and on about, all the embryos being in the textbook. He spends like the rest of the video doing this, just showing it nonstop.
Tim Barra. Debate you anytime, Tim. Bring it on, okay? Here we go. Haeckel's fake drawings are still used by Kenneth Miller, who writes a lot of biology textbooks. Fake drawings. Folks, I'm telling you, this is criminal to teach this. Put me in charge of the education system. Tell Donald Trump, I'll straighten it out. No more lies in the textbooks. Here's what's going to happen. The atheists are going to scream, well, then where's our evidence for our theory? Well, that's your problem. If all you have is lies, get a new theory.
Hey, Kent, where's your evidence for God? Oh, right, you don't have any. You might want to get a new hypothesis for everything in the universe. Maybe trust what the science actually says, but you can't do that because that's how you make your money, lying to people.
Or maybe leave development out of biology, leave the history of how we got here out. Just say, boys and girls, this is the radius, the ulna, the humerus, the biceps, the triceps, the deltoid, the scapula. Teach them the anatomy. Well, how do we get here? Well, we're not allowed to talk about that. They're in the muscles. No doctor on the planet worries about evolution when he's doing surgery. You better know his anatomy. Still teaching this.
And that's not my video acting up, I gotta stress that. That's Kent's stream going to shit. You can tell because the stuff from his StreamYards clone that he uses doesn't get all distorted, but he just goes to potato quality in an instant.
It just angers me that they do this. Gill pouches, Troy State University, and Alabama still teaching it. Evolutionary history of organisms has been seen in development of embryos. Gill slits, 2004.
And if we jump ahead another, minute or two,
this is just plain a lie.
He's still going at it.
Only view at the end. Evidence for evolution, embryology.
Hey, shout out to Vice Rhino, the thumbnail he pulled.
From the Vice Rhino or something like that.
Fun fact, Vice Rhino, that name is an anagram of Eric Hovind. That's how VR came up with it. And I think that's pretty cool.
There it is, Vice Rhino. Debate you anytime, Vice Rhino. Let's see. Evidence with fish. Evolution news and science. Title for it. We'll tell folks about it. They can get it. Ought to have right to have an abortion. I said, okay. What if if she doesn't...
Oh, yeah, and at this point, he goes into saying that the entire thing about embryology is to justify abortion, tells his obviously bullshit story about, oh, what do you think about abortion, a week before the kid's born? What about 5 days after they're born? What about, a year after they're born? Da-da-da. Shit that no one remotely sane would say or acknowledge, and that no one on the pro-choice side would even flirt with as an idea. And he just says, "Oh yeah, because he's got to paint everyone into a paint everyone against him in a bad picture because, we're the evil ones. He's got to be the good ones when he's the one lying constantly. It's incredible." But that's the way this video goes. It doesn't have much value in the long run to it. There's a little bit of funny stuff to rip into at the beginning, sure. I think I've hit all the zingers. I'm going to have to do some editing on this, so it won't be up. Well, I mean, it won't matter. When you see it, it'll be up. But yeah, I'm going to go and do a little bit of cleaning up on this, and I'll catch everyone next time.